Hello and welcome back to Sustain Our Teacher. If it is your first time here, my name is Leticia and I'm glad to meet you. And if you've been here before, I'm happy to see you again. In today's video, we will finish the last unit before Christmas and also the last video about the nutrition function. Today specifically we will talk about the circulatory system and the excretory system. So if you are interested in this video, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. As we will always do during these units, we will start talking about the anatomy of the system. First is going to be circulatory system for blood, then lymphatic system, and then excretory system. So it's going to be always anatomy and then physiology, so how it works, okay? What about the anatomy of the circulatory system for blood? The main function of the circulatory system is to transport through using blood all the nutrients and the oxygen we need to perform the cellular respiration, right, in the nutrition function. And also the blood is going to be in charge of removing all the waste and the carbon dioxide from the cells. To do so, we have a heart, which is a pump, okay, and all the blood vessels that are closed and that will circulate around all the body and will reach every cell in our body. So how it's the circulatory system? We will divide it into two parts, the vessels and the heart, okay? So for the vessels, we have three types of vessels: arteries, veins and capillaries. Arteries are, sometimes there is a wrong concept about this. Arteries, what they do is they always go from the heart to the body. So they will conduct blood that is going away from the heart, that is exiting the heart, okay? Not always, we will see it later, is gonna have blood with oxygen, which is the wrong concept. The right concept is arteries go from the heart to the body, not always with oxygen in the blood, okay? And they will have strong walls. Why? Because when the heart pumps the blood, the arteries will receive that blood with a lot of pressure and they can't change the shape. If the arteries deform, we will lose like speed in our blood, strength in our blood, okay? So the most important feature in our arteries, apart from having epithelia and everything, is that they have really strong, thick muscle walls of muscle tissue. Once we get to near the smaller ramifications, we stop calling these vessels arteries and we start calling them arterioles, okay, because they are small. On the other hand, we have the veins. Veins will always go to the heart, will return blood to the heart, with or without oxygen, it doesn't matter, but the sense is that all the veins will transport blood to the heart, okay, not from the heart, which was arteries. With or without oxygen, it doesn't matter. And the main feature of the veins is not the muscle wall. In this case, it's not really important. We don't have high pressure blood anymore. What is important right now is to avoid blood losing the way, changing the direction, going in the wrong direction, because the blood doesn't have strength anymore to flow. So the veins have valves, like doors inside, to make sure that once the blood passes through, it will close and it won't allow the blood to return back on the way back, okay? In the wrong way. That's the main feature. And as well, once the veins ramificate into smaller vessels, they receive the name of venules. And finally, there is a point in the body in which we don't have any more arterioles or venules. It's a type of vessel specifically prepared to exchange oxygen, carbon dioxide, nutrients and waste from the blood to the cells. They have really thin walls, so the nutrients and oxygen can go from the blood to the cells. And they are called capillaries. But this is very important for me too. Don't get it wrong. Capillaries are not a mixture of arterioles and veins, like the joining point. It's something different because anatomically they don't have the same type of tissues. It's just the part of vessels where the exchange is going to happen to cells. That's it. Now, what about the heart? So the heart is located more or less in the center left of our rib cage. It is protected by the ribs, right? And we have 4 cavities inside. 2 right cavities and 2 left cavities. Probably you will see it on the other way in the video, okay? But this is my right, this is my left. Probably it's gonna be mirrored. The thing is, the 2 above are called atriums, right atrium, left atrium. They will receive blood from the body and then will transfer from the atriums to the ventricles, okay? The right ventricle and the left ventricle. To pass from the atrium to the ventricles, to pass through, we have doors also, valves. For the right atrium to the right ventricle is called the tricuspid valve. From the left atrium to the left ventricle is called mitral valve. By the way, my mitral valve doesn't work properly, doesn't close fully on me, okay? And finally, to go again to the body, so blood enters to the arteries, and to go to the body, they will leave from the ventricles. To exit from the ventricles, there are 2 new doors, one for the right, one for the left. They receive the same name, it's semilunar valves, okay? And what is the heart made of? It is mainly, of course, there is an epithelia that will cover outside and inside all the cavities, and we'll have also a lot of muscle tissue, cardiac muscle tissue, if you remember, and some nerves to control the pace, okay, of the rate of the heart rate. That's it for the anatomy. And let's talk a little bit about blood. Okay? Blood, you know, is a tissue. Even if the matrix surrounding the cells, the red blood cells, the white blood cells, is liquid, but it's considered a tissue. We already discussed this in previous videos. The liquid is made of plasma, which is mainly water with proteins and nutrients, and the blood cells. The blood cells are red blood cells, white blood cells, and some platelet cells, okay? The main functions, in any case in the blood, is to transport oxygen, carbon dioxide, to perform an active function in the immune system, in the immune activity, and also to regulate body temperature, okay? About the cells specifically, red blood cells, you already know, will transport oxygen. You already know they have the shape of a disc. When they are mature, they have lost their nucleus, so they can transport more oxygen inside. And for the white blood cells, they are in the picture here. The more pink ones or light red are the red blood cells, and the bigger one are the white blood cells, and the nucleus are dyed in purple, okay? In the case of the white blood cells, they will have different functions in the immune system, native response or memory response. But the thing is that it is interesting that white blood cells can move with pseudopodia, so they can kind of modify their shape to take like arms outside, so they can walk through the cells looking for pathogens or unrecognized organism cells or whatever. And about the platelets, it's really interesting because when they are mature, they are just fragments of a bigger cell that gets fragmented, and those fragments are gonna be in charge of coagulation. When we have bounds, open bounds, the first cells that we get there to signal that there is a bounder that we should do like a local inflammation to avoid infections, etc., and that we close the flow of blood to the outside, are gonna be platelets. Now let's talk about the physiology of the circulatory system. The most important thing in the physiology of the circulatory system is the cardiac cycle. So is the circuit, the blood, the pathway that the blood will follow around the body. Okay, so we will start our journey in the right atrium. Where do we come from? Our blood has just come from the lungs with new oxygen, so we have really rich oxygenated blood. Okay, this blood will be pumped, this is called the atrium systole, to the right ventricle, and from there will be pumped again in the ventricle systole to all the body. It will transport and transfer all the oxygen and nutrients that our blood has. Once they have gone through all the body, first going from the arteries and then coming back from the veins, using the veins, we will come back to the heart, but in this case to the left atrium, without oxygen in the left atrium. Okay, and from the left atrium in the atrium systole, which actually happens at the same time in the right and the left. Okay, so but to explain this I have divided, but there is only just one systole in the atrium and one systole in the ventricles, and we will have blood with oxygen in the right side and without oxygen in the left side at the same time. Okay, so we will have two circuits, we will see it in a minute. So from the left atrium without oxygen, in the systole, atrium systole will transfer the blood from the atrium to the left ventricle, and again after the ventricle systole the blood will be pumped, but in this case it's gonna be pumped from the arteries to the lungs and will come back through the veins to the right atrium. I'm gonna, if possible, I will add a video here with some very funny people moving as if they were blood. When they have oxygen they are in red shirts, and when they don't have oxygen, or well, jumpers, I don't know what is it, sweaters, whatever. And when they don't have oxygen they will have blue, okay, blue jumpers. And the thing is, the blood will pass twice through the heart. The first time in this cycle, which is a cycle, so we can start wherever we want. I started with the right part and we go to the body. It's called the major circulation, and it's gonna distribute the oxygen around the cells in the body. The second time the blood passes through the heart is by the left part without oxygen, and they will do the circuit which is called the minor circulation. They will go to the lungs to recover the oxygen and to release the carbon dioxide. Really important, even if I am just signaling down, of course there are some arteries and veins that will also go up to the arms, of course to the head, because the brain needs a lot of blood, okay? So it's not just from the heart down the body, could be also upside, okay? And there is just one term that I have to explain to finish this, which is the diastole. So in the beginning we have the pump of the atrium systole, then the ventricle systole, and then all at the same time, just with milliseconds of difference, the heart will relax, new blood will arrive, and then they will pump again. So it's gonna be atrium systole, ventricle systole, and then the relaxation is called diastole, and it's fully, okay, it's not just atrium diastole or ventricle diastole, it's heart diastole, okay? So three like mini steps: first atrium systole, then ventricle systole, then full diastole. And that's everything for the circulatory system of blood. Really quickly, some differences for the lymphatic system. You already know that they transport or transfer lymph, which is the result of filtering all the interstitial liquid inside or around our cells, and they will go through some lymphatic capillaries that they will get joining together into bigger one called lymphatic vessels. Okay, remember, in the lymph we can find lipids, and we can also find white blood cells from the immune system as well. But in this case we don't have a heart, and the circuit is not closed. There is just one entrance but no exit. Okay, in this case, how do we pump, or how do we collect the lymph to transport it to the lymphatic node? For instance, in the lymphatic nodes there are like concentrations of lymph vessels, and in those places we will produce immune system cells also. Okay, in this case, for moving the lymph around the lymphatic circuit, lymphatic system, what we use is the movement of muscles. So thanks to the compression of muscles in our body, we will filter and collect the lymph into the lymphatic vessels. That was just really quickly to make you notice the differences. And now let's go with the excretory system. In the case of the excretory systems, we have the kidneys, 2 kidneys, right and left again, and some urinary tracts that we conduct to the urinary bladder, and from there to the outside. Okay, let's see the parts little by little. So the kidneys, they have the shape of a bean. They are in the middle of the back. Okay, and they will have some blood vessels that will transport the blood from the body to the kidneys. The objective in this case is to remove the waste from the nutrients, not the carbon dioxide, mineral salts, toxic substances, things that we don't want anymore, excess of water in blood, etc. Okay, where this is gonna happen? In the outside part of the kidney, which is called the cortex. In the cortex we have specific structures called the nephrons. The nephrons are divided in 3 segments: the glomerule, surrounded by the Bowman capsule, the conduct with the loop of Henle, and the collecting tube. Okay, all the cortex is full of thousands of nephrons performing the same thing at the same time. What is performed, we will learn it in the physiology part later. All the nephrons, all the collection tubes will merge into the pyramids, which are those like triangles, dark brown triangles in the picture. And the pyramids will finish in bigger tubes, which we will call the renal pelvis. Okay, all these tubes will merge in one big tube for each kidney called the ureter, and both ureters, right and left, will end in the urinary bladder. From the urinary bladder, just to go outside, we just have a conduct which is called the urethra. It's gonna be longer in males, smaller, shorter in females, but in the end the urine, the result, is gonna be excreted. Okay, so that's the anatomy of the excretory system. What about the physiology? So the most important part happens inside the nephrons. Okay, there are 3 steps in the urine formation, which are filtration, reabsorption, and secretion. Filtration is gonna mainly happen in the glomerulus, inside the Bowman capsule. Okay, this is for filtration. Reabsorption is gonna mainly happen in those conducts in the loop of Henle. Okay, and secretion is gonna happen in the collection tube, just at the end of the nephron. Why we do this in 3 steps? Because it's a way to re-evaluate 2 times if what we have filtered in the beginning is okay or not. If we filter too much water, not enough water, too much mineral salts or not, or if all the toxins have been excreted, etc. So we will have process of filtering and reabsorption to finally have the balanced urine for cleaning properly the blood and excreting what we really need to excrete, okay? And that's it. If you have any doubt, please leave it in the comments, and of course, see you soon.